first. Got to check my take. All right, here we go. This is the fun part. Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're on our next live stream. I think we're touching a live stream number 16 or 17 at this point. Today, of course, the weather in this part of the country has been a little nasty recently. And for those of you who are joining us this evening, you're going to be interested in joining us, if you want to fly, that is, at Kilo Alpha Lima Bravo. That is Albany, New York. My understanding is that they collected quite a bit of snow the last few days. I can speak for experience that we've gotten quite a bit of snow in the last week, too. And I said, you know what, this might be kind of a fun time to get some instrument flying in as well. Joining us tonight, and this is we're trying something new, so the whole thing explodes on me. It's probably his fault. Is Crackensan? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Crackensan. I'm a New York native, and this is my life now. What you're seeing outside the window.
No, I love stuff like that. So we'll get to use the weather radar a little bit today as well. So what Crackensan is going to be acting as our pilot, not flying today, and kind of helping us out with some checklists and stuff like that. Again, we're trying this out, so fingers crossed that everything works okay so far. So we're going to go ahead and get started right away here. Again, while we're flying down to Kilo Lima Golf Alpha, that's LaGuardia, and our flight today will take us on runway 4, which is going to give us a gorgeous view of all of New York City in its basically white and gray splendor. So that's going to be a lot of fun. For those of you looking for this weather preset, by the way, if you go up to the top of your screen and you click the little weather box, there's a thing that says snow. Just go ahead and bash the snow button and you'll be able to join us as well. All right, let's do it to it. If you'd be so kind, if you could give me the pre-flight checklist.
All right, pre-flight checklist. We've already set the flight plan.
Yep.
Flight plan. Weather
Set.
is
It's New York.
Weight and balance.
We got that.
Already set that. We have full fuel.
We do.
So starting with the actual systems, landing gear handle.
A landing gear handle is in the checking down position.
Good. Oxygen.
Flipping the oxygen system on. I don't think we're flying high enough for it, but we'll try it anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Lights
are off.
Crash lever.
In the down position.
Starter.
Starter is off.
Ignition.
Ignition is set to, should be set to auto.
Aux BP.
It is off.
Fuel selector.
It is set to man.
AP and trim.
Off.
AC.
Let me check. We're going to crank up the heat as soon as we get this thing going. It is off.
De-ice.
De-ice is set to off.
We are going to want to put this on.
We're going to need all that today. Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
Get it started. Get it started. Yeah, exactly.
Inertial separator.
Inertial separator is off.
Parking brake.
Parking brake is set.
Okay, and throttle.
Cut off. All right.
Excellent.
Can I have the before start checklist, please?
Our briefing.
All right. So today we're going to be flying into New York City. We're going to be doing a completely IFR the whole way down. We're going to be using mostly the GPS for this purposes. Our cruise altitude today is going to take us up to 6,000 feet. It's hopefully going to get above the clouds. Although I wouldn't be surprised if we have to fly a little bit higher because some of this stuff looks like it's going to turn into ice if we get too close to it. Naturally, during our takeoff, if there's an engine failure and we still have runway completed, I'm just going to stand on the brakes. If we have an engine failure after takeoff, assuming there is enough runway available, we'll go ahead and try to come back down onto it and land. If there's a position where we're already in the air about 300-400 feet, we're going to not be able to do a 180, so we're going to have to find a nice soft place along the ice lake beyond us to go ahead and land on. Your primary purposes as a passenger is to kind of keep an eye out for any traffic and make sure we don't smack into anything. But other than that, that is my pre-flight briefing. Awesome. All right. Continue.
Charts and procedures. I have all the charts.
All right. Sweet. I'm glad somebody does.
Okay, so crash lever goes up.
Set.
Source.
We're going to set that to battery.
Excellent.
We're
Generator.
going to set that to main.
Lights and alarms.
We're going to go ahead and set my strobe, but I probably have about 1,000 alarms right now. Actually, I do not. So click, click. Good.
Okay. Landing gear light.
Checking. Looks good.
Yep. Fuel on board.
Let's see here. We are carrying full tanks today.
Checked. Voltage.
It's probably a little bit better than 24.5. Yep, 24. We're good.
Okay, and the CAS.
We got about 1,000 warnings, but nothing we can't get rid of.
Okay, and light.
All right, I'm going to set the strobe on. Sets. All right, starting. Ready to get started? Folks,
Yep.
by the way, who are joining us today, we are at KALB. That's Albany, New York. I'm sitting here. I think this is a parking tree 8. We'll see you on the runway in just a minute. Again, this is the snow weather preset for those of you who are interested. All right, let's do it to it. All right, so ignition. Ignition's auto. What do we got next?
Aux BP.
On.
And the CAS message.
Oh, yeah, it's grumpy. Yellow light and everything.
Yep.
Awesome.
Starter.
All right, so we're going to go set it and look out the window first. Make sure there's nobody going to get chopped up. Okay, looks good. Clear prop. Starting.
That one guy. He's always there.
He's always got to get in my way. You know, it's that white van that I always run into. It's just ridiculous. All right, here we go. Got my hand on the lever. Looking for 13%, I believe. 13?
13.
All right, keep an eye on the IT. Oh my God, the ITT was negative. I've never seen that before.
It is very cold.
This is definitely a cold day today. All right, looks like we got a good start. I'm going to flip it up to the middle idle position here. There we are. And everything's looking good. Awesome.
Okay, excellent.
All right, keeping an eye on temperatures. So it looks like our ammeter's working okay. Oil temp. Wow, that is the best oil I've ever seen in my life. It's already warmed up. All right, looks like
we've already blown through the first 3 of the after start checklist.
Nice.
Throttle is set to flight idle. Yep. NG is proper, and oil and pressure.
Delightful. Okay,
good.
Continue.
Aux BP.
We're going to set that to auto.
Fuel selection.
We're going to set that to man, or auto, I should say.
Yes, auto.
Yep.
Fuel selection switch button.
All right, I'm going to try it out and see if it works. Listen for the click. Yep, I heard the click. We're good.
Excellent. AP and trim.
Set on.
Generator.
The generator should be on already. It is.
Okay. CAS, check that.
And we're going to take a look. We got a warning about stall. I'll go ahead and get that anti-ice heating pretty much turned on right away because it's going to get messy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm also going to turn the bleed on and turn the heat on because it's absolutely freezing in here right now.
Okay, so that's the AC.
All right.
Transponder.
Setting transponder now.
Tower has instructed us to squawk 2305.
2305, perfect. All right.
Light?
It's pretty nasty outside, so I'm going to go ahead and put the nav light on. And we're also going to set the taxi light.
Excellent. And the instrument?
Press the B and D key a million times. We should be good to go.
Okay. Avionics set for top of descent, which would be 6,000.
Standby. Da. All right, 3,100, 5,000, 6,000. Perfect.
VS?
We're going to set a vertical speed. I think it's usually about 1,200 feet per minute. Oh, we could probably get a little more than that. Yep.
CDI is...
got to change that, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, FMS set.
Okay. Nav. If we want to put in any of the nav radios.
Yeah, I'm going to put it in now. And I will do flick and all that stuff later. OBS selector is good. I think we are ready to taxi. All right, if you could obtain first taxi clearance.
We wanted to depart runway 1. Tower wants us to depart on runway 28.
We're just going to do a donut and go runway 1. I mean, we set the wind, so...
We're going to go around, and...
I think I'm going to run into about 9 airplanes on the way. Hey, welcome back, Crunchy Bob. I'm trying to see everybody else who I recognize here. Let's see here. DCKS, Cirrus 3442. I've not seen Crash before. I'm trying to see everybody who's here. Looks like we already got a couple people already in the air. Awesome. Delightful. All right, let's take our way down to the runway.
Yes, so from here, we will actually take a small right.
Okay, it's going to be... So I'm going straight rightish, correct?
Turn right now.
All right, taking a
right. Follow
right.
This line.
Got it.
Yep.
All right, kind of.
And it's funny on my screen because the pushback was starting. The pushback guy is now being pushed by our plane.
It's okay. I didn't ask him anyway for pushback. He can deal.
Yeah. And then here you can see the runway right there. That's runway run right to our left.
Awesome.
So you can see where the lines say. Turn, please.
Oh, geez. This is kind of dangerous. I'm not going to lie. This is going to be kind of an interesting flight for us. You know, it's always kind of fun to try to spot everybody by their little lights behind them. All right, could you get clearance for runway 1, please? Or, well, get clearance for takeoff. Of course, they're going to be like, we gave you 28, not 1, so they might be a little grumpy for us.
Well, I mean, yeah. We should be good for runway 1 to take off.
All right, takeoff checklist, please.
Takeoff. Clearance obtained. Yep. Landing lights are on. Transponder set to alt.
Yeah, we already set it to alt.
Okay, and the rest of it is get onto the runway and let's get this plane up in the air.
All right, let's do it. All right, folks, we'll see you all in the air in just a moment here. All right.
Once we're lined up, you'll set port to 100%.
Sounds good. I'm going to go ahead and set the timer once we get lined up here. All right, here we go, folks. For those of you joining us again, we'll see you all in New York City.
And takeoff flap coming down.
Copy. Now, one of the reasons I left the flaps down as long as I did, or up I should say, is because whenever you have icy, slushy conditions, you do not want the ice and snow to be building up while the flaps are down. When you put them down, you're actually going to do a really good job breaking those all out. And by the way, for those of you who missed Microsoft with their crazy little update the last few days, I'm sure
not rotate?
Yep, I'm sure you've been experiencing some very interesting things. We're going to leave the gear up for just a moment. Or gear down, I should say, for a moment.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to get just a little bit of altitude here. Good evening, John Mail.
You want flaps up?
Give it just a second. Gear up, please.
Come on.
There we go.
There we go.
All right, I'm just going to I want a little bit more altitude underneath me before I pop those flaps up. All right, flaps up, please.
Flaps coming up.
All right, we are on our way. All right, we're not going to touch that inertial separator until I see nothing but daylight. All right, let's go ahead and start making our way over. And we'll be on our way. Our first altitude is 6,000 feet, correct?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to keep it on manual for a little while. I'm not thrilled with this turbulence here. I don't want to give the autopilot too much work.
No problem.
We're picking up some ice on the windshield.
We have all the icers on, correct?
We're definitely going to need windshield and prop, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Fun fact, the ice light does nothing. It's just sort of like the goggles. Now, incredibly, we just had an ITT warning there indicating that we're overheating our gas turbine, which is kind of a surprise given the fact that, it's, hot. But we'll see what it is. All right, so I'll get us kind of on our way, and then we'll have a little bit of a chat, and then we'll start thinking about our descent and everything like that. All right.
Okay, while we're doing the climb out, I'll check a couple things.
Absolutely. All right, after climb, we can't use 100%. Lights, I'm going to kill the landing light because it's just blinding us. For some reason, the landing light desynchronized. Oh, well, it's off now.
No, I turned it off.
Oh, you got it for me. Thank you.
I wanted you to keep flying the plane and keep us in the air while I start going through some of this stuff.
Thank you so much. Hey, I got to tell you, man, this new Autopilot plugin that Microsoft gave us is great.
It's amazing. It just does
it knows things. It's incredible. Absolutely. Let's see here.
Departure has been contacted. Torque setting, it looks good given conditions.
Yeah, we're pretty close to the maximum red line of ITT right now, so we got to kind of keep that in mind.
Inertial separator is on.
Definitely.
It's just going to stay like that for a while.
Yeah, I mean, the gas turbine's mounted backwards in this thing, but that doesn't stop it from sucking in things we don't want it to.
Yeah. Speed, 124 or as conditions allow.
I think we're going to keep it up to speed here, because if we go too slow, I don't want too much ice buildup.
Yep.
We're going to try to keep that speed up, get a little bit of surface heating there.
EIS?
Looks good.
And the CAI.
All right, looking good.
Apparently we have a low voltage warning. Oh, the generator.
Generator's on. That might be a sync issue.
It may be.
All right, let's go kind of head in this direction. I think I see another familiar face out there. Too much? Actually, I haven't taken a look behind me just yet. Oh my god, look at all those people. Or at least what I could see of them.
I have your stream up on my other monitor, but you are behind me. Or I'm behind of where we are.
Yeah, you're going to be about, I think it's a 35-second delay. It's pretty dramatic. It's one of those things like the first time I ever did YouTube, you just don't realize how bad that delay really is. And you're like, why do you take so long to answer my question? It's like, because I'm not in the same level as you. All right, we're getting about to our cruise altitude. I think I'm going to flip on the radar and see if we can find something a little bit safer, because right now this is still pretty nasty outside. I got to kind of bring us up to speed here. Once we get a little bit of that heating of the surface of the airplane, we'll be a little bit more successful here. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, can I have a cruise checklist, please?
Cruise checklist. Torque is...
It's about as high as it's going to go without overheating.
ITT, our temperatures are good.
Mm-hmm.
NG?
Just taking a look at it. Looks good. It's about 98%, but that's the upper limit of what we're going to be able to get out of this today.
Yep. De-ice.
Definitely on.
Yep, good. And then fuel.
Where it's going to be, I'm just going to make sure it went over to the right. Yep, it's working correctly.
Excellent.
All right, we're in great shape.
All right,
could you request a cruise level 8,000? I'm going to try to get over these clouds if we can.
Sure thing.
Look at the weather radar. Yeah, so anybody's interested, clouds do not return weather radar patterns. Like when you do use the weather radar, you're never going to be able to see it unless it's actual moisture. So if it's cold conditions and that's what your radar looks like, you got to get over that. That's not healthy. Actually getting a really strong updraft
Albany
here.
departure would like us to climb to 14,000.
14. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, I heard the man.
They want us to go very high.
All right. Well, very well, Albany departure. I don't have a lot torque left, but we'll get up there as fast as we can. At least we're going to get ourselves out of the nastiness. Oh.
We should, based off of that radar. Oh, yeah, see? Here we go.
Now we're getting clear. Nice.
Altimeter set to 9er.9er2.
Cross-checked. 7,200. About 7,300 now.
Yes.
Awesome.
Cross-check.
Awesome. Delightful. And it looks like we're punching out of the clouds so we can give our auto-icing, our de-icing, and inertial separator break here.
Yep.
All right. I'm not going to worry about the weather radar anymore. I think we've done a pretty good job. Thank you, Mr. Weather Radar. You've been very helpful today. Go knock us over to the left a little bit. Starting.
Oh, that radar dome out there. Ooh.
I'm amazed that it still has snow on it, because in the real world, like that radar starts heating up, it's going to melt everything. And we're given a beautiful vista kind of chilling out the side there. That's pretty wild. Now, I'm actually not using the automatic pilot here. I'm just kind of using my feet, of all things, to kind of get us all centered out here. All right, now's a good time to check on the YouTube people now that I've kind of gotten everything going. Okay, let's see here. Oh, man. My apologies, folks. I missed where you guys are. Yes, we're on US East. That's correct, Kevin. Dustman, hey, how you doing, man? Hopefully you're in a time zone where this is too late into the night. Let's see, Crunchy Bob just got his new yoke. I have to undo 30 years of stick flying, but you love the thing. I was looking at the honeycomb throttle, not the yoke. I have a VKB. It's what they call it's a gunfighter. It's the MCG grip. And yeah, you're going to have to fight me for it, because I'm not going to give that up that easily. For those of you who are just joining us, we're doing the US East server. We're basically doing a nice little nasty snow IFR flight. I got my co-pilot Crackensan with us today, who's going to be kind of helping us out. It's you have no idea how nice this is. You just get to fly the plane, not worry about anything else. And we're proceeding down to LaGuardia so we can get a nice, beautiful look of New York City as we kind of come down to approach. Now, air traffic control just asked us to go up to 14,000 feet, which is awesome. If you're interested in that information, Jimin, there you go. That's as much information as I'm going to give you. I'm not going to say it out loud. Now watch, this is sort of funny because I'll say this, but 30 seconds later he'll say, thanks. It's just kind of fun how that works. You'll see what I mean. You'll see what I mean. All right, let's go ahead and get ourselves, we can clean up some of our anti-icing technology here. I'm going to leave on this stuff because that's still pretty useful, but I'll give the prop and all that stuff a break. Do not let me forget to turn that back on before we descend back through this nastiness because it's pretty nasty.
Gotcha. Oh no, I distinctly know what ice can do to an airplane and how fast it can drop you out of the sky.
No, in the real world, I've never encountered ice in the sense of airframe icing, but what I have encountered is I've encountered carburetor icing. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, there's no real carburetor icing. That's just something you read about in the books. No, it's pretty real. And not only is it real, but like when you change power settings, you can actually hear the engine suck in little tiny pieces of moisture. And it suddenly goes, just one of those. And like for that half a second where you can feel the thrust going away on your aircraft, you're like, oh my God, that's it. So that's just kind of fun. All right, got to continue our nice gentle climb. Let's see how folks are doing behind us. Oh, we got a pretty good collection. I see a Crash. I see a Paper, US Air. I see a LaFrog. He's sneaking right up on us. Nice formation flying there, Laffle Frog. Docile Place is sneaking up on the right.
Who behind us is flying the airliner, the A320 or the 787? Because there's always one.
There's always one. Yeah, it always cracks me up that somebody tries, like when we do bush flying, it's like, oh, I'm going to take the airliner in. And it's like, that might not be the safest choice for today here, but that's all right. All right, once we get up to 14,000 feet, we'll level off until air traffic control stupidly tells us to dive 10,000 feet, 2 feet. Hold on, we got a question here.
For that part, I will be ignoring ATC.
I totally agree with you. So that's when you call them back and say, unable.
Yeah.
Somebody's asked me, even with the heat on. Wood and nickel, you can't fly with the carburetor heat on at all times. The problem is when you fly with the carburetor heat on, you're actually bypassing your air filter, which is really, really unhealthy for the engine. You're also, since you're running at a higher temperature, sucking into that carburetor, which is means you're not going to get as much power as well, which is going to affect your thrust, your climb, everything like that. And I just overshot my 14,000 feet because I'm reading YouTube instead of concentrating on what I'm doing. All right, we are looking pretty good. Would you like to take the wheel for a little while?
Sure.
All right, I'm going to try to get this thing as trimmed out as I possibly can for you. Yeah, get this nice.
I was going to turn on the autopilot.
See, I was going to skip the autopilot because we're using what they call the Your Controls plugin. They literally just released it an update, like at I want to say 9 o'clock this morning. So I'm kind of playing the does this really work game? But I guess we'll find out the hard way, right?
Yeah. All
right, I'm going to go bring us over to the left just a teeny tiny bit, and you can do the autopilot or not. Just remember to shut it off before you give me the controls back. All right,
Gotcha.
let me go bring my nose down just a teeny bit. Are you going to go back and fix the audio issues? Could you explain what you mean, Mock? Is it the audio issues with the people I had, or is it the audio issues with my voice? All right, I'm giving you controls. You have control.
My plane?
You're playing.
Okay. No.
I'm not touching
Stop
anything.
that. I need you. No, I'm talking to the plane right now. Sweetheart.
There's the red line, but it's okay because I shut off damage because I was smart enough to know that this is experimental this time. All right, let's go take a peek. Oh, we got Maximus over there. I actually know a Maximus, but he does...
I actually think I know exactly what happened.
Interesting. What happened?
My throttle was pulled all the way back. So when you gave me control of the plane, it was like, oh, you don't want to be moving the propeller anymore, do you? And that's like, no, I need the propeller to move. I need the propeller to move quite a lot. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry. I'm just answering a YouTube comment here. Okay. No, that's so weird.
So I turned off the autopilot. I'm like, yep, nope, we're done with that. And I now am pulling completely back on the stick.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna have to...
Is it that the trim is fighting you? I'm watching the trim. Yeah, I was gonna say the trim. I just watched the wheel go boing. This is what happens when you do experimental things. Let's see if everybody behind us can keep up now.
Yeah.
So that must have been, the trim must have come out of sync until you push the trim button. Interesting.
Gotcha.
To answer Mach 5 and Eric Bird's questions, unfortunately I was not aware, but I use the same audio setup every single time I do a video, so it might have been something to do with the upload. I'm actually not sure in that regard. Actually, everybody did a really nice job, by the way, keeping up with us, so a nice job. Oh, somebody's doing some slowing, and we have an Airbus behind us. Go figure.
So, regards to that, actually, some of the audio on your videos, a couple of them, I made a comment, actually, where it sounded like there were random pitch changes, and then audio drop.
Interesting.
So that sounded very kind of choppy. So it was just like, wow, I can't understand him anymore. It was actually really hard to understand. But then, like your most recent one with I forgot her name. And I'm very sorry. I think it was. Yeah. Right now. The audio was perfect.
That's so weird because I don't. So, that seems to me like it's a data rate issue more so than it might be a pitch issue. Because I use the same setup every single time. That's weird. That's weird. That's something I'm going to have to go back and check. I'll actually go look at the actual recording and see if it's okay. Because the way it's going to roll is basically, I'll check the recording. The recording will be fine. It'll be like, But I'll take a look into that. I think one thing I'll have to do is go back to 30 frames per second. That'll probably eliminate some of that as well. All right. Let's see who's behind us.
I'm going to try to flip on the autopilot again.
Yeah.
Testing.
All right. I'm not touching anything.
Okay. So we're not diving out of the sky.
Nice. So it seems like the trim must have come out of sync somehow, is what it looks like to me.
Yep.
Interesting. That's
interesting. Alt.
All right. So I'm looking behind us. We got a pretty hefty set. I see you got a Diamond 62 to my right. That's going to be tough to keep up with us. And we got a couple TBMs behind us. Over on my right, I see we have a Beech 58. Awesome. And there's a Cessna 172 way back there. All right, now we must be getting relatively close to our top of descent, if I had to make a guess.
Well, we're now at 15,000. I have to send down to 14,000.
Gotcha.
Funny thing, then this is something that we may have to report to your controls, folks.
Sure.
So I'm using, for everyone on the stream, I'm using the Logitech navigation panel that Logitech sells. So I have all my vertical speed, altitude, autopilot actually on a panel in front of me, so I don't have to press all the fiddly buttons in game. And so it's not holding the vertical speed setting that I want with your controls. It's very weird.
That's weird.
But it's really cool when he's messing with the plane. This thing just freaks out. It just starts moving on its own, and I see numbers flashing up. It's actually pretty cool.
Neat. No, that's wild. That's absolutely wild. All right, I'm just kind of studying here, kind of vertical approach here. Yeah, I can tell you're on autopilot because it's like, boop, laser. I'm a decent pilot, but I'm not that perfect.
Yeah, I have to admit that I am a sucker for the magenta line of safety. It is everything to me.
I think it's yep.
I still haven't done a lot of manual flying simply because I'm still getting used to the whole. This is an airplane.
Yeah, I know that you were telling me earlier that you had a pretty good, strong history in space sims.
Yeah, I'm about to date myself for some folks. Wing Commander 1.
It's going back a bit.
Yeah, way back. 3.5-inch floppy disk, back when Babbage's was a major computer software store. Yeah, so now part of your chat is going like, who is this old guy?
That's all right.
But yeah, Wing Commander 1, 2, 3, X-Wing, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, X-Wing Alliance. More recently, of course, Elite Dangerous has been a big part of my flying. And atmospheric flying, like through Microsoft Flight Sim, has been very, very recent.
We're about to get rear-ended by an Airbus A320. What? Hey, there's a rainbow! Crunchy Bob, by the way, says Wing Commander. Now, here's a real dating question. Has anybody actually seen the Wing Commander movie?
Yes, I have.
Oh, man, I'm having a brain fart for a second here. What was the, oh my god, Freelancer? Was that the name of the game?
Yeah, Freelancer
that was amazing. So much fun.
It's what Chris Roberts wants to turn Star Citizen into. I'm not sure if he can do it.
Yeah, no, that's too bad.
I would like to see him do it, but...
Yeah.
Okay, so from Scott, we are hitting Pauling.
Mm-hmm. It's a Pauling VOR DME.
Yep.
So
we are headed to India Gulf November. We should start descending. We should be looking at getting down to about 5,000.
Excellent, excellent. Okay. So I'll wait until we get to the nasty bits. I'm just taking a look at our climb real quick, kind of our vertical profile. We got a little bit. I mean, if we want to descend at the last minute, we personally can, but probably not the safest option.
Do you want to start descending now, or?
I kind of want to wait. The only thing I'm thinking is if the clouds are really as nasty and icy as they are, then we probably want to try to get through them quickly, rather than trying to kind of take our time in them. That's the only kind of thought that comes to mind right off. So if we can do like a 260 knot descent, of course you wouldn't do that through turbulence, that's dangerous. But it's 250 knot descent straight through the clouds. We're going to be spending a lot less time in them. But to do that, I think we're going to have to give ourselves a little bit less time for that. Just kind of doing the math real quickly, taking a look at what we have here. Yeah, speaking of space sims, I think my favorite ever, I love TIE Fighter. I used to play the quite a bit of that back when I was much younger. Like that was like, back in the days when we needed boot disks and stuff to get them to work, but then they brought them to Windows.
Yep.
It's like TIE Fighter 95, I think it was called, or something like that. I forget totally what it was.
Yeah, the first Windows version of TIE Fighter.
Oh my god, I remember just like when you got in the secret order and like the guy like gave you a special mark on your arm to say, oh, you're an elite TIE Fighter pilot. And like, what was the guy, like Dirk Steele or something was the guy's name? Like I can't remember his actual name, but he became a character in the X-Wing tabletop game, like the little combat game, because people loved him so much.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's just stupid. Like you remember, like the things you remember from when you're like 10 years old. It's just great. And then Free Space was amazing, especially the second one.
Free Space was my first introduction into 6 Degrees of Freedom flying, where the Star Wars is very much a World War II model in space. They're basically planes in space. Free Space was, you're in space. I don't know what you want from us.
All right. Crunchy Bob is just pointing out the fact that his full throttle is not as fast as our full throttle. It's all right. We still got to descend. No, I think one of the...
We're gonna start dropping out of the sky.
We're going to have to. I mean, we're up at IGN now. This is Kingston VOR. So when we hit Valerie, we're just going to have to burp straight down to basically 5,000 feet. And then we're going to get set up. So for those of you who are trying to set up and do the same IFR flight we're doing, we're using a pretty solid approach here. We're going to be coming into RNAV, runway 4. It's going to be the Zulu approach. The reason we picked that one is it's awesome. It's going to take you right over New York City and past the Statue of Liberty. And it's pretty cool. And I know usually the wind doesn't come from that direction, so in the real world you rarely actually get to use it. All right, we'll start our descent when we hit Valerie.
Okay.
Yeah, and then did you play Independence War at all?
That I did not play, no.
Ah, see, that one was tricky because you had to take into account inertia. Get going fast in one direction, you had to turn around and hit full power to slow back down so you could take another direction.
Right, and then the great thing about Elite Dangerous is you can switch between the flight models on the fly. So you can have that kind of X-Wing style atmospheric flying, but you hit a button and it's just like, well, you started moving in that direction, sir, and you're going to keep moving until you decide to stop.
Yeah, I love that. And Benny was just bringing up the fact Descent. Oh my God, I played quite a bit of Descent 3 in my day. It was just an excuse to do Quake in 3 dimensions. I hate to say it, but
Well, I remember one of my most vivid gaming memories. Remember the whole "take your daughter to work" or "take your child to work" initiative?
Sure.
Around. I was, again, this is dating. I'm not sure if that's really done anymore.
That's okay. It's a thing.
But I went to my dad. He worked for Kodak, and so I went with him to Kodak. And one of the things they set up and they allowed them to do at the end of the day was set up Descent on all the computers in the office. And it was the kids versus the parents. And then
Yes.
it eventually just evolved into everybody.
It's a free-for-all at that point.
Yeah, but it was one of those cool things, and Dad is like, they've never let us play games like this.
That's awesome. I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of traffic when we get to New York City. We're going to be descending in probably a little less than 30 seconds. I'll probably take the controls back from you from the last little piece when we start the transition piece. But like I said, you're already pretty much queued up. If you could take us down to, I'm just trying to study my little chart here. Actually, you've got the chart in front of you. I should just ask you. What altitude do we need to be at by HARP? Did you catch it?
5,000.
5,000. All right. So as soon as we cross Valerie, take us down to 5,000. Probably pull the throttle all the way back and just boop, straight over and across your fingers kind of a thing. Take a look at how the folks behind us are getting along. There's somebody in Airbus who's going to attack us. It could also be one of those little I think they have some add-on jets now. I know there's an F-15. There's a Eurofighter, I think, and a couple different things, like an MB-339, I think. So we've definitely seen some of that recently. Yeah, in response, let me take a look over here. Descent, yeah. I just got to blow up the reactors. Now, if you really want to have a game that Microsoft ripped off of, it was Fury 3 was the Microsoft version of Terminal Descent, or Terminal Velocity. That's what it was. Now, that was an interesting game. This kind of huge, wide world.
5,000.
All right, take us down. You're going to have to probably back that throttle all the way to 0. Probably flight level change at 250 knots.
It's not setting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disable the autopilot. I'm going to back the throttle down to 0. It's going to drop us down. You're going to start hearing the gear warning.
Beep, beep.
I'm going to give you control of the plane.
All right. Let me make sure I'm ready to take the controls from you. All right, I'm ready to take the controls from you. My controls.
Okay, your plane?
My plane. All right, it's going down. Yes, I know that there's a landing gear concern. I'll give you just enough power to make you shh. Again, the nice thing about this plane is we're not a reciprocating engine. We can just go down. We don't have to worry about the thing overheating or cracking or freezing or anything like that on the way. And of course, we're not a P-38, so we don't have to worry about compressibility. Not that we're going to ever get up to that speed, so I don't have to worry about that too much.
A lot of people in the Microsoft Flight Simulator Discord have been asking, they come into this and they're like, hey, I'm brand new. What plane should I start? And
not this
obviously
one.
There's the Cessnas and things like that, and those are usually go too. But once you're more comfortable with it, honestly, sometimes I should say, this plane really flies itself sometimes, and you can do some pretty interesting things and get away with it in this airplane.
All right, I'm going to go flip on the anti-ice. For those of you who are joining us as well, don't forget when we dive back into this cloud, you're going to want to have your anti-ice on. It's not just visual. Well, depends on what you set your realism settings to, because if you set it to actually cause damage, you can actually freeze yourself basically out of the sky. So I'm basically going to do a maximum performance descent and punch my way through the 5,000. Unfortunately, you're going to have to watch me do actual instrument flying skills today, which I feel like I haven't had to do much of that recently, but that's all right. All right, get ready for the fun part. Now, the neat thing is, and unfortunately the Flight Simulator does not recreate this well, is the absolute crazy amount of noise that it makes. Yeah, see...
Things start hitting the windshield.
Yeah, it just... and it gets so loud you can't hear yourself think. Oh, it's so satisfying. All right, here we go. Holding 250 on the knots. My speed limit is 250, so I'm giving you all 250's worth. And if you'd be so kind as to make sure you let me know. That's a great transition, Max. Go right from the 152 to the TBM. It's a good combo. I think the Bonanza is a great transition plane too, because it starts getting complicated. And if you do have the deluxe version, the Cirrus is absolutely solid when it comes to kind of learning how to get with a faster plane without dealing with the complexities of controllable pitch propellers or retractable landing gear or something like that.
Passing through 6,000.
Yep, I got it on in my eye. Just let me know what we need when we cross the next altitude. All right, good.
It's going to be 5,000, pretty much.
All the way down? Yeah, we should have waited on the descent. That's all right, though. We'll be okay. We're equipped for known icing, so I'm not too concerned with it. All right, let's see here. Yeah, going back to what we were saying, though, terminal velocity was absolutely a wild game. I remember playing the heck out of it. Oh, you got my radar up for me. Okay, so the really nasty stuff is just below us.
Yeah. I kind of wanted to look at that, too. I'm like, okay, so what are we actually going to be flying into?
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've flown in this game with live weather on and looked at the radar and gone, if we go just about 100 feet lower, we're out of the nastiness. Of course, in the real world, it'd be like, we're not flying today because it's too dangerous. But another thing is, I think, honestly, from real-world experience, the Microsoft Flight Simulator, their icing is a little too aggressive. Yeah, there's icing. Yeah, it's pretty scary stuff. But in the reality is, if it's already frozen, it's not going to stick to the plane. You know, you're just moving around, and planes are not exactly what I consider to be solid objects. They're always flexing. So, I mean, if you start to build up a little bit, you'll break it pretty quick. Seeing defogging, by the way, now there's a problem that we've never seen a flight simulator done correctly. I'm actually having to fly like an instrument pilot here. This is requiring some concentration on my part here. You know, what we'll do, of course, is I'll remove all the nasty layers of clouds right when we come into the approach, so you can see the nice New York City there. Of course, I could be flying autopilot. But, gotta make it hard for myself at some point. Normally, I look behind me to see how everybody... see, I stopped concentrating, and I've got myself 300 feet per minute, just like that. Let's see who's behind me. Oh, everybody's following. It looks like we're just kind of brushing the top edge of the clouds here. Yeah, it's always nice to work in your actual stick skills. The TBM, I would not consider to be the easiest in that regard. It's not that it's sensitive or anything like that, but it does have a tendency to pick up speed on you. And this trim is so slow. Let's see.
TBM is a sports car in the air.
It really,
from what I found.
It's so overpowered.
Wants to move.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to think of more space sims that are really got a kick out of. I could not get into what is the one? Elite Dangerous. You know, I'm more of like an X3 kind of a guy. Like, you know, let's go ahead and make one of these kind of a situation. But that game is not as flexible as I'd want it to be.
I mean, Elite Dangerous is one of those things where, at least to me, the joy in it is the near one-to-one recreation of the Milky Way.
Yeah, I love stuff like that.
If you want to go to Sagittarius A star in the core, well, be ready to go for a while, because you got, legitimately, depending on your ship, 4, 5, 6, 8 hours of travel ahead of you. It's not like, oh, it's right down the street. Space is huge.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you're a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy fan, but you may think it's a long way to the chemist, but it's absolute peanuts to space. And Peter Jones is the voice of the book. I mean... excellent.
And when people get into the game and they're like, wow, this game is big, we use that quote all the time.
It's just fun. Yeah, I mean, I think my favorite thing in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, not to change the topic, but it's relevant, is I love the ship powered by bad news. It was the fastest thing in the universe because everybody knows that bad news goes quicker than anything. But the problem is nobody wanted to serve on the ship because it was so depressing. It's like, that's just clever. That's just clever. I'm actually going to go flip on the wind display here. Actually, I was going to probably have you turn on the wind display. Would you be so kind as to put the wind display on, please?
I will turn on the wind display.
I'm already starting to get glide slope information there, and it looks like, we got a little bit of crosswind going on. It's nothing too bad.
Right. I don't think... Yes. Okay, so the CoPilot PFD does not work.
Interesting.
I'm actually... In the real world, I would be reaching across to you, and this would be awkward.
Well, you got a relationship with your co-pilots. It's just how it is. Hey, right, there we go.
There we go.
Thank you. Good, so we're flying with the tailwind. Excellent. That's got to make it nice and safe. But hey, I just want to see the city. You know how it goes.
I am also going to, while you're flying...
Oh, thank you.
On our nav 1 bearing, and MFD, no. Nav and comm. Audio and radios. Let me pull up the RNAV chart.
Thank
here.
you. Thanks, Critchy Bob.
Oh, right, this is RNAV. We're not going to have the...
We'll have glide soap. I'm seeing it already.
Okay. No, I mean the localizer.
No, we'll still have it. But it'll be on the GPS. It won't be on the nav, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yep. I mean, our navs are amazing because they can make you do things with the plane that an ILS could never electronically reproduce. That's always kind of neat. But we're sitting right on the edge at 250 here, and I'm sure air traffic control is like, uh-huh. But hey, it's legal.
They are not happy with us. They want us up there, but I'm just like, according to these charts, we need to be down here.
I was going to say, we are doing the same HARP 3, I believe, so that's going to be done.
Yes.
And one question, they're coming up on the talking a little bit about controllers. One thing that I will say that I was kind of looking forward to is there's the VKB and there's the Virpil controllers, which I'm sure everybody's kind of heard about, kind of the boutiques. Interestingly enough, I think Virpil just dropped a ridiculous throttle that had mechanical detents. And it just, like, you could not believe this thing. But I was, like, sitting there going, I got the money for it, you know, between Christmas and birthday kind of a thing. And then, I put it in the cart, and it's, like, $500. And I'm like, is there another option? And then I found out the other day that VKB, who makes my current stick, those guys are doing a throttle with electrical detents. So they actually have an electric solenoid that basically catches your throttle when you hit certain points, so there's no mechanical connection to it. And I just like, okay, that's just cool. So I'm kind of waiting out on that one to see what kind of comes by.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here with my Thrustmaster 16,000M.
Hey, I've had 3 of those. And I teach an aviation class at my high school, and that's all we use. So no, nothing wrong with that.
They're good setups, actually, for what they are, for what they cost. You know, if you're just getting into simming or flying in general, they're not that bad.
Yeah, no, definitely. I completely.
So, for those of us flying along, this is taking us, if there were no clouds, you would actually be, I think this is Bronx?
Hey, I can fix this real quick. And, oh, look, the weather cleared up. Oh, man, it's way nicer than it was a minute ago. I can actually, oh, look at this. All right, now we can play tour guide, and we can actually see what you're talking about.
Let me change the weather settings on mine to not be snow.
We'll turn the snow on for final approach, naturally, but sometimes it's kind of nice. Whoa, that really messed my climb up here. Benny comments on the fact he's got a Sidewinder. My friend had one of those, and there's a stupid game you can play with a little sensor on the finger. If you hold your finger a couple inches away from it and let the stick fall into your finger, it goes, So it's like a happy stick. It's just, it's really stupid. But it's just one of those things that you'll discover and be like, wow, that is stupid. I can't believe you figured that out. You know how it goes. All right, definitely going to be a good time to go and start thinking about changing the zoom on the PFD. Actually, MFD, my bad. Let me go change that real quick. It's a little too zoomed out for me. I need to be a little more in. There we go. Nice. Whoop.
And then, of course, about 3 o'clock is Manhattan itself. So you can start seeing a lot of the skyscrapers. Depending on your LOD settings, you'll see Central Park obscured by a line of skyscrapers, or if you're on a potato, there's Central Park.
Kind of reminds me of when they zoom in on sugar, like you see all the different cracks and crags and stuff like that. It's kind of one of those sort of things.
Yeah.
All right, we've just passed over LaGuardia. That is our ultimate destination. So unfortunately for us, this procedure calls for a course reversal. Now, I feel like I haven't done a course reversal since September, so we'll fix it. All right, do we need to descend when we cross any of these?
So when we hit renew, we should be at 3.
All right. I'm trying to see what is our next waypoint at the moment. Coming up on A9.
Next waypoint. Yep.
Of course, in a real one of these patterns, you wouldn't be doing 250, you'd be doing 210, but it happens. And look over on our left wing there at our 9 o'clock. All the players who are in the world server who's basically joining us from JFK. No surprise, we chose LaGuardia intentionally to try to reduce the insane chaos that is all the fun traffic that we're creating right now over the skies. All right, we're going to start our course reversal. Here we go. So Gritty...
Air traffic control wishes us to descend to 3,000.
Oh, they want us to come. Okay. Air traffic control takes priority. I'm going to back the throttle out a little bit. Let's go ahead and check my checklist here real quick. All right.
Air traffic control says maintain present heading, altitude, expect RNAV Z, runway 4 approach, via griddy transition, cleared to griddy.
All right, which is funny. They told us to maintain the heading, but then they told us to go to griddy. Come on, guys, make up your minds. But we will drop down to 3,000 feet.
Altimeter is set.
Yep, 29902, looks good.
Minimums.
Minimums are 200, but it's going to be radar.
Okay. Com nav and GPS set.
That's all been set, yep.
Pressurization.
For this one, it's great. It's automatic, but it does look like... Let me check to make sure it's working okay. Oh, that's why my ears are popping. It's 500 feet per minute. Yep, we're good.
Okay. Fuel?
It should be... Yep, it's working.
De-ice.
I'm actually going to shut that off, because we can see perfectly fine now.
Inertial separator.
I'm going to leave that, shut that off. We don't need it right now. I'm going to leave the pitot heat and stuff like that, though.
And landing lights.
I think I turned my landing lights on a little while ago. Nope, I shut it off. Shy. All right, set.
Okay, approach checklist complete.
Awesome. We'll go ahead and wait for our landing checklist, but we'll wait until we're in final before we do that one. All right, let's see how everybody's doing. Oh, man, this is so cool to look at. Stop jerking my mouse. Sorry, everybody. Yep, there's certainly enough people flying into New York City at the moment here. This is awesome, and obviously we're going to pass over Newark in just a moment as well. We still have tons of ice on board. Love it. All right, we're getting passed by another TBM, but that's all right. Oh, look at that. They built in the course reversal for us. That's so nice of them. I don't have to do it by hand. Oh, well, I mean, obviously I got to fly the plane by hand, but that's besides the point. And I like how they descend us to griddy, but they give us like 30 miles to do it.
I like also when Power gives you instructions where it's like, we would like you to come down from FL410. And I'm like, okay, but you have given me exactly,
Whoa,
1,000,
what's that?
Or like, yeah, about 1,000 miles to do so, and I was supposed to start descending way back there.
I think it's interesting. I'm sorry.
Descend 10,000 feet per minute. Have a nice day.
Well, if I had some speed brakes, I might be able to pull it off, but not in an airline, that's for sure. Speaking of speed, I'm crossing 251 here, but it's the wind, I swear. I think it's interesting that we're following this TBM-9 right in front of us, Paper Bus Air, and he's literally doing what we're doing, but we're about to basically slam into him. Whoa, we're getting passed by an Airbus doing... Okay, that was interesting. Hi there, Faceted Jeans. Good to see you. And course reversal. This is the world's widest course reversal, I'm not going to lie. I don't think the good people at Newark Airport would appreciate us doing this wide of a circle for this. But hey, you do what you got to do, right?
I'm actually not sure. I know I've had executives when I was working as an executive assistant. Because I asked about that. I was like, well, you have LaGuardia, you have JFK right there, because they would fly out of Newark because he lived in Jersey. He's like, yeah, we have to wait for the traffic patterns out of LaGuardia and JFK sometimes.
That makes sense. I mean, like, if I recall correctly, there's basically one central control that kind of handles everybody. And I know from seeing some air traffic control simulators, if you ever want to see, oh, by the way, if you ever want an exercise and, oh my God, too much going on at once, try those games out. They're actually pretty fun. But from seeing that, there are pretty much preset paths that they can kind of get everybody in and out of very efficiently. But some of them do cross. So when they do cross the paths, it's just like crossing the streams kind of a thing. All right.
Yeah.
We're going to go take our big old turn here. And like I said, normally with the course...
we're flying over Jersey.
Yeah, I was going to say...
So we have left New York City, and now we're in Jersey.
Gotcha. I mean, I make, again...
You can see the glorious field of toll booths off your right wing.
I believe that's the Amali picture on Route 95 right there. It's funny because the international... depending, again, I'm not going to try to judge anybody, but depending on where you're on, we got this beautiful road called Route 95. And that's anybody who's lived in this part of this country can tell you all about the glory that is the New Jersey Turnpike and trying to get... Whoa, I should pay attention to what I'm doing here. And the glory that is trying to get in and out of that. And you got all the oil refineries that basically were flying over. And all the toll booths and the traffic and the police cars with their speed traps and everything along those lines. It's an experience, but it's kind of part of living in this part of the country. It's just kind of funny. But you always joke.
Of course, you're either driving into or out of New York City. So if you're driving into New York City, there's all the security concerns, of course. That goes into, obviously what New York experienced several years ago. The United Nations, of course, is headquartered in New York City. It's fun. It really is.
All right, now we're going to get to the fun part in a minute. Oh, got to concentrate on my flying. I think I'm picking up a little bit of chop here, but I think that's just coming up from loading in all the buildings that are with the big city below us. I have no excuse for gaining 100 feet. I know. I was naughty. Again, I'm riding on the inside. See, it's like NASCAR. I'm trying to get in the inside part of the track, right?
Right.
I mean, I could just point right at Gritty, too, and just take us right in. As a matter of fact, why not?
Yeah, I was about to say they did clear us to Gritty. So.
Yeah, you're right. We technically had gone right at it. All right, let me go ahead and bring us in. We're getting a little fast here. Go back it up just a little bit. And this is an RNAV approach, which is pretty handy. It's basically the GPS telling us where we need to be left and right. It's going to be telling us exactly how high we need to be as well. We'll put this thing down on the ground, answer a couple questions, and that'll go. Whoa! I just got cut off. Beep, beep, beep. So apparently the air traffic around New York is just as bad as the car traffic around New York.
Absolutely, 100%.
You'll see that when it comes through in the stream in a minute. All right, gotta proceed here to Gritty, and we'll get ready for our landing and shutdown and all that other good stuff. It's a good time to go ahead and take a look at how everybody's doing on YouTube there. Let me go pop over real fast. I would say, oh, geez, don't forget your snow. Oh, Benny reminded me we're in bad weather. Oh, we're gonna have to re-enable that bad weather. Oh, we're gonna miss the city though. All right, he said turn the snow on.
Unfortunately.
All right, he's right though. I did say I'd turn the snow back on. All right, snow's coming back on. Fine, I'll keep it just like it was the last week. Oh, storm. That's not what I want. I don't want snow. Oh, that's better. Okay. Are you happy? All right, now my trim is all sort of out of whack again because the temperature's totally different. Anti-ice is on. Everything's looking good. Inertial separator.
I was about to say, we can turn that on. Inertial separator come back on.
All right, everything comes back on, unfortunately. All right, you're going to make me actually do this right. You guys are no fun. Let's see here real quickly. Custom-made pitch, T150. Okay, I'm not going to read that. I'm going to try to fly the plane. Oh, we're getting a warning, but that's all right. It's going to do that a lot. I'm getting passed by Dreamed Claw 836. He's kind of zooming in. Every time like an aircraft cuts across in front of me, like my trigger finger gets like a little bit stiff for just a half a second. I don't know what it is, but unfortunately for me, trigger fingers break, so you can hear my brake alarm go off. It's like, gotta do it. It's just stupid. All right, what are we looking for altitudes here?
Okay, so we're passing through here. Looking at the next waypoint.
Because I think we have to cross to the city, then we take a left, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm just trying to remember this one, because I know this one takes us basically right over the Statue of Liberty, and then we kind of take like a gentle left here.
Yeah, so I actually read the chart wrong, and so I apologize.
That's all right.
We're going to keep 3,000 until we hit Tickle, and then at Tickle, that's when we start our actual final approach and descent into LaGuardia.
All right. Do we have a time chart at the bottom of that, so we can set it for the missed approach in case we can't find it? Bottom left corner. It'll say like 120 and 90, and it'll have like 2 minutes and 15 seconds or something like that. I don't have the chart in front of me.
No.
Okay. I guess we're just going to have to do missed approach the old-fashioned way.
We are going to have to wing this.
Well, conveniently, we have an aircraft that has a digital display that shows us what the ground looks like. So that's not nearly as scary as it was in the old days when it's like, what? All right, we're coming up on Tickle now, and we'll basically start slowing down. But I don't want to get slowing down too soon here. Hand flying in instrument conditions. Good times. Now, one of these days, Microsoft will give us helicopters, and then we'll really learn who could fly something. That's good.
Oh, I remember the longbow simulator.
I remember that.
That Dad had. That was, flying helicopters is not easy.
Now, did you ever play Comanche?
Yes.
That was like an arcade game, though.
It was very kind of arcadey. The longbow one was. I remember Dad, and I was like, "Hey, Dad, I want to try the longbow one." He's like, "Well, here's the manual," and he just goes, "Bump."
That was.
I'm looking at
3.
this like, 500-page longbow Apache manual. I'm like, really? I have to
get going. I think that was Jane's, wasn't it? If I remember right, back when they used to make games.
Longbow, yeah,
it was Jane's because they had Jane's F-35. I think it was like F-22. I'm trying to remember really. Oh, man, that's 90s. Yeah, you're pushing buttons there. All right, let's get ready to land. Go swing us.
We have been cleared. RNAV Z runway 4 approach. Altimeter 29er 2. Wind 284 at 8.
Oh, beautiful. So we have a tremendous crosswind as well. I just had to pick the one that takes us across, the beautiful Statue of Liberty that we actually cannot see at this time.
I was going to say, it is snowing. It is unfortunately not the summer. We may miss something.
Yeah, I was going to say we're going to lose a couple details, and I've already lost, just like I just lost 120 feet. Gotta concentrate on flying. This is instrument, you're supposed to be paying attention. All right, let's go bring this thing around here. All right, let's go ahead and get the landing checklist if you don't mind.
Landing checklist. Gear.
We're going to set that down once I get on to 165. Whoop, got passed again. I put the trigger. I couldn't help it. You're like, why did the parking brake alarm come off? Long story. All right, there's 165. Gear down, please.
Gear's coming down.
All right, watching for our 3 green lights there. And we're getting gear unsafe. Come on. Tell me the door didn't get frozen shut. All right, doing a gear test.
There we go.
Check down. We're good. All 3 are down.
Inertial separator?
Inertial separator's on.
Now, here's the question. Due to the issues with the sim, do we want to try to land with flaps down?
I'm going to slip the plane. For those of you who are not sure about that, what he was just commenting a second ago, Microsoft released the World Update 3, which gave us beautiful landmarks in England, but it also made it so the flaps have twice the amount of lift that they're supposed to. So unfortunately for us, that makes things a little challenging to land. So we're going to do a no flapper today.
Okay, so the yaw damper is off.
Correct.
Autopilot is also off.
Yep.
Approach speed should be about 80 knots.
It's going to be a little hot today, but again,
it's going to be warm.
It's going to be something. All right, I'm going to go ahead and center that glide slope. Now we're going to bleed some speed.
Landing checklist complete. I'll be watching for minimum.
All right, copy. We're looking at 200 feet radar. And if we have to go around, we have to go around. It's no big deal. Unfortunately, since we are not using flaps because of the anomaly with the lift there, our landing speed is going to be closer to be about 115, though. So if I start getting under 100, start yelling at me. All right, I think we're just a little bit below glide slope. Going to lift that nose up. Man, this thing needs a lot of trim when you don't put those flaps down. There it goes. Okay, now
landing this plane without flaps is an experience, and right now landing with flaps is an even more interesting experience.
So again,
you want to talk about buttering landings?
Yeah,
you can butter a landing very easily at this point.
Yeah, it's funny because in the real world, my best landings were either terrible weather or like when you couldn't see the ground, like at nighttime. Yeah, it's the only time I ever landed the plane smoothly. Or no flappers were big for that too. I literally cannot see the ground. You're just gonna have to call minimums when we get there.
No problem.
All right, gonna bring the nose down. We've gotten it up pretty high at this point. Whoa, okay, back down we go. All right, just concentrating.
I'm actually scooching up in my seat, seeing if I can see the runway.
Yeah, we gotta look up.
And I can't.
Oh, I can't see the runway.
No.
I'm actually concentrating just on my instruments right now. I haven't done one of these in a little while, but it's good to keep proficiency. I wonder just how accurate the RNAV actually is, because right now it says that we should be basically level, not really gaining altitude or losing altitude, so fingers crossed on that one. And we'll take a quick tour of New York City afterwards, naturally.
Yeah. We'll clear up the skies.
Oh yeah, we'll have a fun time of it. All right, let's see here. I'm just glad this anti-ice technology works the way it doesn't really in the real world, because this would be a lot more exciting otherwise. No, man, this is what I see, folks.
The anti-icing tech in the real world, is it more or less aggressive than how it is portrayed in the sim?
What do you mean?
So I know the sim, there's a lot of ice buildup on this aircraft right now. I don't even have to look outside the aircraft. I've seen it.
Yeah.
So when you flip on the anti-ice, does all that ice kind of just disappear and melt off the plane?
It depends on the type of anti-ice. Like if you actually look at the boot, that's that black piece of rubber that sits on front of the wing. If you look at it, the people who did flight sim actually took the time to make it so that it expands. So you're not actually melting the ice; you're breaking the ice. Which is that can be, depending on the type of aircraft, it's a different system. What they do with the airliners, they actually take air away from the compressor stage, which is already really hot because you try to squeeze it, and then just blow it over everything. And it's like problem solved kind of a thing. For us, we have to break the ice as it accumulates, which is that's sketchy. That's sketchy. This is the world's least smooth RNAV approach, but I'm just going by what the I can't see the runway, but I can see an awful lot of people landing in front of me, so that's probably a good sign. I miss my flaps. Hey, we're gonna try.
I miss them too.
Now, one of the things that people used to do in the early days of instrument flying, which is extremely wrong, you should never do it, they would dive really low at the bottom minimum altitude. Let's say the minimum altitude is 800 feet, and they just stay there and cross their fingers that they'd find the runway. But one of the problems with that, as you could probably imagine, is the runway suddenly came up and said hi, or, that mountain or that, lightning pole or something like that suddenly came up and said hello. All right, I think we're getting close to minimums here. Oh my gosh, I still cannot see the end of the runway.
I don't know where the runway is visually.
Okay.
We are at 600.
Oh boy. Oh my gosh, we might have to go around. Could you set the go around altitude to 3,000, please?
I think go around altitude.
All right. We are perfectly on glide slope and localizer, and I am hand flying this one, so keep that in mind, folks at home.
Altitude set 3,000.
Awesome. All right.
400. Runway in sight.
I do not have the runway yet.
I see the runway.
You see the runway. To me, it's a giant gray. I see it. Runway in sight. Landing. Oh my gosh.
We were off by a
That was
smidgen.
nothing. That's good. That's well within tolerance.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna slip the plane. Landing. We're gonna slip the plane a little bit, and this is not going to be the most glorious landing, but again, we're using with no flaps here, so as far as I'm concerned, this is an emergency. All right, let us. Oh my God, it's icy. It's icy. Uh-oh. Oh no. Okay, no brakes.
Kidding.
Reverse. Oh, come on, reverse.
Whoa.
Work. Hey. I'm about to rear end the person who landed before us. We did it. Yes.
Exit as soon as
Still
possible.
got it.
Turn next taxiway, please.
Next taxiway. Of course, I'm going to ignore all that and clean up the weather, and we're going to go tour New York City. But you know how it goes.
Of course.
Clear skies. Oh, look at that. The weather cleared up. They always say about New England weather, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes and you'll be fine.
Wait 5 minutes, yeah.
All right, Country Bob is coming in behind us. I'll go ahead and pull away. We need to get our little picture before we... This thing looks a little worse for wear after that. Oh, that was fun stuff. That was fun. All right, let me pull. The runway is so wet right now. Let me go ahead and pull off the runway. I'm sure a couple people
you
will
switched
come
to
by.
clear skies, right?
Yeah, it's completely clear now.
Okay.
Oh man, that was.
I'm catching up on watching the stream, and because it was a little kind of bumpy for me.
Yeah.
There were significant frame drops, so.
Yeah. Now we're fine in New York City.
Taking a second, looking over. There's the A320 landing in front of you.
Oh my God, he knows where he's going because I certainly didn't.
Yeah. That plane lands itself.
All right, I'm gonna hold tight here in case anybody wants to come join for our usual little picture that we take. See, that's what happens when you have something open.
Oh, you came down right on the center line.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
Again, and while doing a live stream at the same time. It's like I said.
And, of course, not knowing where the runway is until the very
Oh, look at
last.
this. Dream Claw just got himself. I think that's going up for numbers 5 landing. What was that? I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh at you. That's not funny. But that is pretty funny in its own wrong way. Oh, there it goes. Now he's spoiled. All right, we have somebody from the United States Air Force. I always like to take my little picture for everybody who joined us today. Let's see here. I've got Cirrus 442 on my right wing. We got Faceted Jeans, who's been operating this Airbus Airbus A320 in a very aggressive manner. That's been awesome this whole flight. Taking a look at this way, we're picking up a couple extra, and I think we're blocking traffic. Call it a hunch, but this poor guy over here, this Alex 7CU, I believe he is not related to us right now, so he's probably very confused as to why there's a convention of airplanes all of a sudden. All right, and we can come zoom out. Yeah, when you see the...
Probably thinking, they couldn't have done this at a different airport.
Yeah. You know what? I had to be different. Yeah, exactly. I had to be different. All right, let me go ahead and get our picture that we always get here. Print screen. Boop. Awesome. So now we're going to get a quick tour of New York City. Again, I borrowed somebody from New York for this today to make things a little bit safer. So we're going to, again, operate the aircraft in a very unsafe manner.
You just want to take off from the taxiway?
I was going to do that, but there's an Airbus there, and, I don't know. I feel like on some level, I have to at least take off from the runway. Because then I can cut him off and he can beep at me and it's going to be kind of funny. I mean, we did get cut off a couple times during this flight today. All right, I'm going to use maximum flaps. You want to see something funny? All right, watch this.
Oh, our takeoff speed at 50 knots?
Oh, yeah, watch this. All right, so I've brought the flaps all the way down, which normally you don't take off with that, but I just want to demonstrate what Microsoft's been done there. I'm going to speed up here. And yes, I am aware there is a really, really neat fix that you just divide all the lift by 2, but you never get to take the TBM off like this. Look at this. And we're airborne.
Rotate?
Isn't that the best flap system you've ever seen in your life?
I mean, the TBM is now a short takeoff and landing aircraft.
We just made it like the ultimate aircraft now, because now you can take off in at 45 knots, and it has no difficulty achieving it. So the fun thing is if I snap the flaps up all the way, the plane goes, oh, and basically just stops flying. So I'm going to skip that step here. All right, let's head to New York City. I believe that is going to be on my left. Oh, see, there's the flaps. I brought them up. I'm getting stall warnings. That's great. First rule of flying near buildings is don't fly into buildings. I always tell my students...
Generally a bad idea.
Yeah, I always tell my students that that's a good way to get suspended from the course. It's like, don't do that. Low Vader, I love that. All right, let's head over into New York City. That's kind of what it feels like. No, they have an airplane for that already. It's called a DHC-6, I think it is the one. All right, let's bring it.
Flying with the TBM? Yeah, absolutely.
Now you can. All right, I've gotten us in a VFR vision here. Now we'll head right downtown. Well, this seems to be the water treatment side of things. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, the west side of New York City is a lot of the old industrial stuff.
Gotcha.
You're going to have water treatment plants. You're going to have old manufacturing facilities.
And a lot of baseball, apparently.
Not all of them have been repurposed, or a lot of them, unfortunately, aren't really in use, which sucks for a lot of the people down there.
Yeah.
Of course, you have Manhattan in and of itself.
There's Central Park right on your right there.
Yep.
It's so much bigger here than I remember being as a kid, but that's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it's big. Being down there right in the middle of Central Park and looking at all the skyscrapers around you, that's a surreal feeling, where you're in this like little oasis of nature, and then you see man's jungle all around you. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we're flying close enough to the city where my potato of a computer is rendering all the buildings.
And it's definitely slowing me down a little bit. I can start to feel it. That's just insane, because I visit cities all around the world, and you get a little cluster of buildings, which is like a square mile or something like that. But this is just like they just start and don't stop. It's incredible.
Yeah, like London, like it's very well done now with the London update and the World update. But when you look at the building density, it's nothing like this.
Yeah.
This is just insane. Like, you have the building density of Midtown Manhattan that we just flew over, and then you have relatively, it's okay, and then you have the financial district that we're coming up on, the Freedom Tower, which replaced the World Trade Center, and then like Wall Street's below us, and it's just like you never really see that in a lot of different cities around the world. New York is very unique in that regard.
Gotcha. All right, I'm going to do a quick little blitz of the Statue of Liberty here. Yes, I know my landing gear in town, and yes, I know this is improper flying, but hey, we did the important streamy part with the nasty weather, so we can have a little bit of fun now.
We totally flew that 100% by the book, so...
Yeah, I mean, we cheated a little bit. Air traffic control would be like, go away. But at the very least, we'll take a quick look at the Statue of Liberty, do a nice little donut, land in the Hudson, and probably call it a night. I think that'll be pretty solid. As usual, when we get to this point of the video, I always like to ask, does anybody have any questions or something they want to do? For the issues that we were mentioning earlier with the sound, I think I have a theory what that has to do with. Because on my end, I never do any editing of the actual video itself, so I shouldn't have those kinds of issues where like you're hearing pitch changes, because I don't render it. It's what OBS produces naturally. So what I'll try to do is reduce the frame rate for a little while and see if that helps. I have a feeling it might be a data rate issue. Maybe my hard drive can't keep up or something like that. All right, well, there's the Statue of Liberty. I've never actually got to climb up it or even go to that island or anything like that, but at the very least, I can appreciate it a little bit. All right.
One story I have about the Statue of Liberty. I went there as a kid to see the Statue of Liberty, the first time actually seeing it. And, of course, obviously, they let you go up to the crown, where the Ghostbusters piloted the Statue of Liberty during Ghostbusters 2. The problem that day when we were up there, the elevator was broken. We had to climb, and the stairwell is very small.
Because I mean, I've been to France and trying to climb some of those staircases, even going up the Eiffel Tower or the Arc de Triomphe. That's a lot of stairs.
Yeah. And so imagine a little boy who's afraid of heights climbing up and down this very narrow stairwell. It was an experience.
All right, we're gonna do a little bit of swimming. I hope you brought your life vest, right?
There should be one under the seat.
Oh, no, I think actually the seat can be used as a flotation device, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, this is what I call ground effect. Oh, there we go. And lift the nose up a little bit. I'm going to slip this plane a little bit. Please don't slip an Airbus into water. Doesn't work. There we go. Now I'm catching. There it goes. We are now a speedboat. All right, so as usual, I always like to get to this part of the video and ask, does anybody have any questions or anything? Again, the whole purpose of this video was just to, provide you with a neat little IFR experience flying through the snow. It seems I'm being joined in the Hudson here by a couple other... Hey, it said I successfully landed. That's great. Hey, okay, everybody get out. Is there any other videos you folks are looking forward to? Next week, I have some really neat treats. I borrowed a guy who's an expert in gas turbines. He fixes them for a living. And I also borrowed somebody who was a commercial pilot. So that was, you'll see some pretty cool stuff this week. Hopefully the sound is okay, because on my end, it sounded all right. But again, I'll reduce the frame rate and see if that can kind of improve things in the upcoming weeks. All right, so kind of keep an eye out, see if there's anything that comes up on YouTube, because naturally it's going to take you folks a couple minutes to go ahead and see what I'm saying in a response. I'm just kind of looking. Do you have any comments, actually?
No, not at all.
I think this worked pretty well. We had that little weirdness with the trim at the middle there, but that might be something.
Yeah, the trim in the Autopilot, I think that may be some bug reporting or just somehow the way your controls is working right now. Obviously, it's a great piece of software, if you want to have others join your flight, but obviously, I mean... It's not an official thing yet, so it's got some weird quirks to it.
Okay, awesome. All right, I'm not seeing anything come by, so I guess this is a pretty good time.
Sherpa in the chat asked, when you're planning a flight, how do you decide what your cruise altitude should be?
Oh my gosh, now that's an awesome question. I got to see where you asked that question, man, because I completely missed it. I'm so sorry.
I think it was when we were flying through the snow and all hell was breaking loose.
Gotcha. So that's an excellent question, and I'll give you the short version. The short version is it depends. I don't mean that like in a mean, ironic fashion. I just mean the first thing you got to consider is what altitude is going to get you the best performance. If I'm going to go up, if I'm traveling 300 miles and it takes me an hour and a half to climb, that makes no sense. If I'm traveling, 300 miles and it takes me 5 minutes to climb, I'm going to be spending a long time at my best cruise speed. The rule of thumb for that, by the way, is 10%. So if your flight is an hour, you shouldn't spend more than 6 minutes climbing. So if that, what is this? What am I looking at? Sorry. So if I'm climbing, for example, for 6 minutes out of an hour, if that gets me 6,000 feet, that would be the upper limit of how high you want to fly. Again, that's just a rule of thumb. The other thing you have to consider are things such as restrictions in weather. If you're flying a VFR flight, you have to be at least 500 feet below the cloud level. So if the cloud level is 3,000 feet, you're stuck at 2,500 feet or less. You can't go any higher than that, otherwise you'd be violating that rule. The other thing you want to consider are things like winds. For example, if you have a 500 knot wind coming out of the west, and it's at 10,000 feet, and at 1,000 feet the wind is only, let's say, 50 knots, then it's going to be much safer to fly lower, even though you're not going to be flying at your optimum altitude. It's one of those things that it's a fairly tough calculation, but in the general rule, like I said, always do never more than 10% of your time should be spent climbing. Also, take a look at your POH. If your aircraft is designed to fly really, really well, like this one works great at about 18 to 21,000 feet, you want to get there as often as you can, unless the winds are so strong, they're canceling out any performance benefits you're getting from it. I know, like I said, that's a long answer, but it's basically what it comes to. Like I said, for me, it depends on the craft. I always try to get to where I go maximum speed. If you're in a Cessna, that's about 7,000 feet. For us over in the TBM here, that's going to be about about 18 to 20,000 feet.
18 to 20,000. You can climb, the TBM can climb and operate up to 31,000.
You lose too much power.
But it's not optimal in any sense of
No, but sometimes what will happen is, sometimes what will happen though is, let's say you're going from west to east, and you have a wind that's, let's say, 160 knots at 20,000 feet. In which case, even though you're losing 10 knots of true airspeed, you're making up 60 knots, basically because of the tailwind being so strong. So that's an absolute excellent way to go ahead and solve that kind of a difficulty there. But again, it's going to depend. Also, if you're in an airliner, usually the higher the better. There's kind of a sweet spot between, I'd say, 35,000 and 42,000 feet. That all works really, really well for that particular purpose. But again, you have to take a look at what those winds are going to be. You have to make sure you're not flying through ice and snow. Like we threw through ice and oh, hello there. We threw through a bunch of ice and snow today that you would not want to be staying in. So you want to spend as little time in that as possible. And again, that's going to depend. A lot of times they'll say just don't fly that day. So hopefully that answers that question. Did you catch any other questions? I'm just looking.
In chat, no, I think that was the other one. The second part to that was how do you determine the rate to get to that altitude and also your descent rate.
Okay, so the trick there is know your aircraft. So this aircraft, you must always want to climb at maximum performance unless there's a reason not to. So for us, our maximum performance climb is 124 knots. So if we climb at 124 knots, we're going to get as much altitude as quickly as possible, which means we can spend more time cruising at full speed, because when you're climbing, you're not going fast. The downside to 124 knots is, as he can confirm, is it's in 21.5 degree incline, which is way too steep for passengers. So even though our performance is great, it's very uncomfortable for the crew. Generally, like if you're flying like a Cessna 172, you're looking at 75 knots. If you're flying like a twin-engine plane, like this reciprocating, you're looking at about 100 knots as your climb speed. Most pipe performance singles are about 100 knots. Airliners, you're stuck at 250 until you get over 10,000 feet, in which case go 0.78. Let's see. I think that the Airbus is going to attempt to climb out of the Hudson versus us who are just kind of sitting here drowning a little bit. I'm just going to take that as a...
no, it's okay. The plane is very buoyant.
Oh, it's right. You know, those new wheels with that new high-pressure air that they're putting in there, it makes a big difference in buoyancy there.
Absolutely. It's great. We'll basically hydroplane across the Hudson.
Yeah, it's fine, especially since you're not moving. The second half of that question, though, is you were asking about when descent. The rule with descent is if you're at high altitudes, just take your altitude divided by 3. So if I'm at 35,000 feet, for example, or times 3, rather, 35 times 3 is going to give me 105, so I need to start descending 105 nautical miles before my destination. If you're looking for a speed, if you're non-pressurized, 500 feet per minute is the absolute lower limit. Like, you should not go faster than that in the real world because it's terrible in your ears. We're pressurized, so we can easily make 2,000 or 3,000 feet per minute downwards. But even then, airliners usually push between 2,000 to maybe 2,500 feet per minute downwards ever. Like, you really don't go more than that. Hopefully that answers that question. Okay, did I miss anything else?
I don't believe so, no.
I did.
There are, of course, comments around the baseball fields, the New York. Kevin is like, I used to run around those baseball fields. I think this is when we were flying over Queens.
Yeah.
Then you get to the other side of the water, the treatment smells.
Yeah, that's New Jersey for you. Actually, that's New York, I know, but I was associated with New Jersey. All right, in that case, this is a great place to stop. I'm sorry we went a little long today, but we were having a good time of it, so I think you guys will find that valuable. All right, have a great night.
And I want to thank you for bringing me along. I do appreciate it. Hello to your community.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I hope you guys have a wonderful and safe rest of the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks. And I've got some ideas, but we'll see what happens when it comes down. And I'll try to fix the sound. I'm sorry. Enjoy, guys. And we're clear.